Temt-Ta. Abdur Shaayuaat Saamus pa Temt-Ta. Begin all things by first using the all. This is our 78th year, 17th month, 5th day on the Yamasee calendar, which is April 30th, 2024 of the Gregorian calendar. From the desktop of Plenipotentiary of Earth and Chief Nanya, registered copyright trademark of the At-sik-hata Nation of Yamasee-Moors. This interview series with the Plenipotentiary of Earth and Chief Nanya, registered copyright trademark of the At-sik-hata Nation of Yamasee-Moors by the White Autochthons of Whitework is brought to you courtesy of and not limited to the following so-called conscious podcasters and representatives of the so-called conscious and or Black community. Firstly, with honors, Bobby Hemmitt, who acknowledged Chief's lien on the White House. Beneath him lies Malefa Asante, PhD, and Clyde Ledbetter, Jr., PhD. Both acknowledged our nation, At-sik-hata Nation of Yamasee-Moors, in their book, Contemporary Critical Thought in Africology and Africana Studies. At-sik-hata Nation of Yamasee-Moors is mentioned as one out of only 3 organizations of African descent out of the 103 Universal Periodic Review or UPR submissions that were filed on the United States of America in 2010. Plenipotentiary of Earth and Chief Nanya, registered copyright trademark of the At-sik-hata Nation of Yamasee-Moors, has subsequently filed a UPR in 2019 on the United States of America. Both Universal Periodic Reviews are published on the United Nations website. 19 Keys, Riza Islam in California, Dom Luker, Philip Scott, Will Radigan of YouTube channel Reason with Radigan, who breached a contractual agreement to give Chief a 3 to 4 hour platform to discuss who we are as the dark-skinned race on the planet and the solution for us to call ourselves white. He got unreasonably rattled and cut Chief from speaking by kicking him off the show twice within an hour and 6 minutes. He had no solution to offer Black people and refused to keep his word to hear Chief's solution for Black people. Mutabaruka, who uploaded Chief's first interview with Reason with Radigan and published it on his own YouTube channel. He created a thumbnail with a graphically imposed image of Chief with the words, "I am white," written above the plenipotentiary's head. And then Mutabaruka, he put his own image beside Chief to appear like he is standing with the plenipotentiary, but he never states he is white, nor does Mutabaruka claim that he is white in that video, and has disabled the comments. Killer Mike, Black Magic 363, Rick Smith, a pale man who is the author of The Moor, the Mason, and the Alien, who revealed the body of Saint Isa, a dark man, misnomer Black man, is in Jerusalem, which proves he was never pale. No one could go there to see the body without an invite from the Vatican. The Vatican has to stamp your passport to allow you to go there. Rick Smith, who has emailed and responded to Chief on Facebook and LinkedIn multiple times, said he respected him, but lives a life in the Matrix. Peter Moon, author of the Montauk Book of the Dead, who did not reply to Chief's emails, which was sent to him via his publisher. Roland Martin, Sherry Peel Jackson, who we had Facebook conversations with on her page in the comments of her post. When we presented the solution of changing her race to white and doing the autochthon standing process to remove herself from being taxed by the IRS, she still refused to do the process. Joy Bulimweni of the Algorithmic Justice League, Mother America Publishing, Sa Netter, Sabir Bey, Taj Tariq Bey, Nakeem Bey, Hakeem Bey, Queen Afua, Queen Valara, Rod Hayes, Rare Bird, Young Elder, Yusuf Al and Jonah Bey, who both tried to diss the SF-181, but now tell people, I told y'all you got to do the SF-181. MSTA, Great Seal, Farrakhan, Chief sent a direct message to him on Twitter, now called X. Farrakhan never responded. Don Napoleon, who told Chief over the phone when they spoke that Atumre is not in ADX. His family knows he's not there. The government knows he's not there, and the government does not want that information to get out. If you can walk through concrete, you can get out. One time after they spoke, Chief came in on the last bit of her radio show. An associate of Don Napoleon knew about the SF-181 and presented it to her on air. All she kept saying was, "Help me out here. What am I looking at?" Don Napoleon filibustered to conveniently run out of time and instead talked about it on an overtime instead talked about it on overtime in her off-air show. The Sabians or Nuwabians, Duswa York, Victoria Broussard, attorney at law, Adrian Patrick, attorney at law, the Hebrew Israelites, Red Pill, Blue Pill, Sarah Sutanseti, who refused to show up for a scheduled live debate he agreed to with Chief in 2016. Professor Griff, who Chief left a voicemail with and he never returned his call. Dr. Cornel West, who agreed to endorse the SF-181, but then turned around and said he wanted to be like Jesus and endorsed Bernie Sanders for President of the United States. Dr. David Imhotep, author of the book The First Americans Were Africans. He was given the SF-181 by our associate, and he refused to be clear over the phone with Chief about whether he faxed it or not. Shahrazad Ali, author of The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman and The Black Woman's Guide to Understanding the Black Man, who, when presented via email with the commercial fact that there are no Black racial groups of Africa and that she should change the titles of her books, she threatened legal action if we mentioned her in association with our nation. Billy Carson, Karen Hudez Smith, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, who just recently solidified the commercial fact by stating that criminal activity is Black culture. In short, Black people are sinful, as the etymology of crime means sinfulness. The etymology of sin is to miss the mark, as in a game of archery. So, Black people have missed the mark of correctly self-identifying as white. Black people, mark the white box on the SF-181. NAACP, National Action Network, NAAIP, Draconis Rex, Hellraiser, Brother Truth, Mon3 Adamak, and it, he, she, hopping from hotel room to hotel room, hustling the SF-181 with demon-slit eyes. It's somehow appealing to those who lack discernment, but they have been warned via email not to fall for this con man hustler pilfering step one of our toxin standing process, charging $15 up to $40 to do a free form. Isis Wisdom, Tiffany Israel, who came on our free webinar just to get the ASP instructions package and then turn around and sold them to people. She added an extreme number of alternate pages to the SF-181 attachments that have no relevance, which may have contributed to the fax line to OMB being jammed for months with a busy signal. Chief had to find an alternative backup fax line for the white autochthons to then use. Usar, Polite, Mark Keyshawn Christopher, with his fraudulent quantum live-life claim for those with a Black status, was the impetus for why Chief now only wears his namus. Chief attended a Zoom Mark held where Mark singled Chief out in a derogatory way to ask him, "Are you comfortable with that headgear upon your head?" Chief said yes, and Mark kicked him out of the Zoom meeting when he lost the battle to Chief's rebuttals. Global African Congress out of the UK, Russell Gould, Phil Valentine, who did call Chief, but left a message that was not honorable enough to incline Chief to return his call. Panic out of New York, Black conscious community, Black occult community, the New Age community, the UFO community, Anu El Bey of the Yamasee-Moors, Dr. Ali Muhammad, Anna von Reitz. Chief emailed her directly with no response. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, author of the ISIS papers, had the SF-181 put in her hand by one of our associates and was asked, why are we still calling ourselves Black? She squirmed in her chair. This was all during her presentation at Howard University. She avoided the question and she never came back to Howard University again after speaking there monthly, and then died about 3 months later. Malik Shabazz, chief was counsel for an indigenous Yamasee official for a court case in Dublin, Georgia, who happened to meet Malik Shabazz at an event in Atlanta and asked him to look over the court brief documents chief had prepared. Malik Shabazz looked at the first page, stopped at the second page, handed the Sherlock's court documents back to him and said, "This is over my head." Chief also called and left a message with Malik Shabazz, but he never called back. Benjamin Crump, who was a keynote speaker at the Working Group of Experts for People of African Descent, and Chief was also present at the meeting. We noticed after the meeting that Benjamin Crump's race and ethnicity was white. Benjamin Crump knows Black has no standing at law, and that's why he changed his ethnicity and race to white. Chief did a 5-day comment number 167 about this race change of Ben Crump's. A week later, his race no longer showed white, but instead dashes. As of a few weeks ago, when searching the celebpie.com site where Chief saw Ben Crump's race as white, that site is shut down, non-existent, can't be reached. Welcome to the real. Elihu Pleasant Bay, author of The Exhuming of a Nation. He acknowledged a lien on the White House, but didn't want to work with Chief. Alim Bey copied a conversation Chief had with a former member of our nation. Alim stole what our nation posted and then cut and pasted it to his own website as if he did it. Posthumous David Wynn Miller, whom Chief has spoken with directly over the phone. Posthumous regard to the late Kevin Samuels. White Autochthons on Chief's direction contacted him to tell him to stop calling himself Black. Due to the amount of haters, specifically Black women, who hated Kevin Samuels' show for revealing the truth about Black women's unreasonable demands, their delusion, and failure in their relationships. Kevin continued to call himself Black. All the above claim to want to talk about topics others are afraid to talk about. When contacted about interviewing, discussing, listening, or working with Plenipotentiary of Earth and Chief Nanya, registered copyright trademark of the At-sik-hata Nation of Yamasee-Moors, they all ignored Chief, stayed silent, or refused. So it is clear that those below Bobby Hemmett are not about freedom. They want to be exotic Negroes on the plantation. So White Autochthons are the only ones that can discuss topics Black people are afraid to talk about. And for this reason now, every Tuesday, White Autochthons will interview Plenipotentiary of Earth and Chief Nanya, registered copyright trademark of the At-sik-hata Nation of Yamasee-Moors, and ask questions regarding current subjects and events that are happening and how it relates to indigenous White Autochthons. Abdur, White Power.
Abdur, Khashukador.
Khashukador, Chief.
Shaayuaat. We have a special surprise for everyone. So this is a very special white work asking and questioning Plenipotentiary of Earth. We have Yaa Nattaat Hepet coming over to visit us. Much appreciated for being here.
Yes, thank you for being here, Yaa.
Much appreciated. I thank you for having me.
Yes, yes. So we just want to acknowledge Yaa being here. You've traveled from
Ghana, West Africa.
that is a far, far trip.
So,
So How many hours was that
Well,
flight?
it was because, it took one leg to get to JFK, and that was almost 10 hours. And then from the East Coast to get here, it took almost a whole day because I went to Toronto and then from Toronto to Edmonton. And that was from around I set off about 8 a.m. in the early that day and then continued. I got here around 5 p.m. So 2 full days.
2 full days of travel. So we're just happy to have you here. I know you have a question for Chief, and
Sure.
Adapa has a question for you. I want to take Adapa's question first, if you don't mind.
No problem.
Okay, Adapa.
Shaayuaat.
Shaayuaat, Adapa.
My question for you, and thank you again for being with Chief.
Tua,
Yeah.
appreciate it.
My question is, do our brothers and sisters from Africa know that black means pale in Old English, especially those who've been to university? Do our brothers and sisters from Africa know that black means pale in Old English, especially those who've been to university? That is my question.
Tua, much appreciated. I heard the question. So, Adapa, what I will say, I can only speak of my experiences in Ghana. I've also visited Kenya and Zambia. And what comes first to me is that they're very, very ignorant about this. They have no idea and understanding about race. It is something that is kind of hidden from them. And so for those of us in Ghana who are aware, and it's a few of us there who are aware of this, and we're sharing this knowledge, it takes them some time to really grasp it. Because first of all, these people were not used to associating as any kind of a race. They were used to tribes or clans or peoples, they were peoples. So there is some work cut out for us to do. I've been pushing here and there with certain knowledge. The thing is that the internet is a key, and it's limited to most of these people. And you'll find that a lot of the ones who are climbing that social ladder and you approach them or present this to them, they're really not too concerned about this because of the fact that, oh, they're finally making it somewhere, financially, they're liking what they have, and they're not going to rock the boat. So this is how I see it. Also, many of them are very religious minded. They're still deep in that spell of Kingu. And for those who are waking up, I can see a few groups are coming together. At least I know of one group that they're coming together and they're doing what they can to bridge the gap between people of the diaspora who are more awakened and have come back to Ghana, and the local Ghanaians. They're trying to bridge that gap. And as I attend these meetings here and there sporadically, I'm not there every month. They have a meeting each month. I see the differences happening. I see the baby steps happening. And so they will get somewhere. How fast, I can't guarantee. And I do share Chief's information with them. And they say many are called, but few are chosen. So those who step forward to move further with it, so it is. But the answer to your question is that no, they don't know, and it needs to be made aware. And that's why when I visited upon Chief's request in 2022, I attended the United Nations, and the AU had meeting in Accra at the Marriott. And I went there and I asked, upon Chief's advice, I asked, why aren't the big businesses and the leaders of these countries in Africa telling the people that they are not Black? Because rather than that, there are more adverts and movie actors going around spreading Black. And so it's a thing. It's coming, they're pushing it to be a thing, especially among the youth, to feel, you know, that being Black and proud. There's even a big sign in Accra that says, oh, be Black and shine. I mean, like so many code words that it is just mind blowing.
So they have to push Black
They're
on them
pushing it.
because prior to the Black push, they were identifying as a tribe or clan or tribe, mixing up the
Or as
words,
a people,
or as a people.
I have a follow-up question to that. Do you know about Wodamaya?
Tour. I saw Wodamaya here and there, watch his videos, but not very often. Tour.
Yeah, much appreciated. I much appreciated for that. Thank you again.
No, no, but you didn't finish. You said, do I know Wodamaya?
Well, why I asked because I saw he was here in the Caribbean, but he was denied coming to Antigua.
Oh, well, I know he was in Jamaica and he visited the Maroon segment area that I'm from as well. I have no idea why he was denied for Antigua, but I just recently heard that he is turned down. Some offer was given to him, you know, because it was being said prior that, you know, he is going and accepting things in places that, you know, is not not good for his people. So I'm not sure what happened. Not sure.
Well, what happened is that I saw he went to Suriname and he went to also Guyana. He went to a few places in the Caribbean, but I don't know what was the situation here in terms of him being denied. The Prime Minister tried to get his visa accepted, but I didn't hear anything more on that. Then I saw this older guy named I think is Mapango. Mapango. He's more like a university, but he and all is like pushing this black, this black. And why I asked the question, if you're a university student, I know in South Africa there they talk at least 5 different languages. Them have to be major in 5 different languages to go to university in South Africa. And if etymology is the root, how would they not knowledgeable about black being pale in Old English? Because you're saying now in Accra, in Ghana, they have a big sign saying black and shine, where really and truly black means pale, pallid, wan, to make glistening and so
Listen.
forth. So, is I'm kind of thrown off that, like I'm saying that these people now who are more on the high echelons now, they're actually pushing that spell because it's a word spell.
So it
Yeah.
is. That is
So,
exactly what's going on.
so I thank you for that and continue on your journey.
So much
Yeah.
appreciated.
That makes me think of a question. What do you see in Ghana as some of the like pale supremacy programs or the effects of them?
Oh.
Like of course religion.
Tour schools, in the schools. Yes, quite a few times I've had to what is it now? Program my daughter's brain regarding some of in the books, even in the textbooks, blatant things like, oh, her hair is longer than hers, or her skin is more white or dark, you know, things like that, that you would think that that is so old. That's like, no, typical racism. And
So they're showing images of a
Sure.
pale girl and a dark
girl.
girl.
And
And
then
like the dark girl has short
Sure.
hair or
Sure.
something like that.
and then the fact that in so many of the schools, they take away the identity of the female students, because they, by the time they get to a certain grade, they all have to remove the hair. Now, that sometimes in perhaps in various African cultures, that's that was a norm. But what I'm hearing more and more now is that that came with the what do you call the invaders that come, the Christian ones, the
Not the colonists.
no, not the colonizers, the other ones that
The
come
Mozongos,
no, they come in as missionaries, right?
missionaries.
When they come in, when they came in and started these schools, they basically wanted the children to remove that because it takes away that identity from them. And then another trigger to it is that they'll grow up, they become 18, young adults, and these girls do not know how to manage their natural hair. So therefore, they're a quick target for perming. So these are some of the things that you do see there. A lot of pushing off the pale dolls, you know. Yeah, it's so pathetic to walk, to go on the street or go anywhere, and you see a mother and her dark-skinned daughter, and she's carrying a yellow, pink doll. It's sad.
Do women wear their natural hair there often, or
They wear a lot of wigs, I
they
will
wear a lot of
say.
wigs?
They wear a lot, depends on the fair, but there are some women who wear their braids. But if you go into a place like, for instance, the bank, most of them will be carrying that fake hair, the wig or weave or stuff like that.
Yeah.
You don't see much people with much our African sisters with their natural hair in terms of growing out
And
in locks and so
I
on
would
and those
say,
things.
Tua, you do see that. That is true. And if I'm mostly around more of, I'd say community affairs that are more of us from the diaspora, because of choosing where I associate. I do choose culturally minded people. So amongst them, definitely, you probably won't even see fake hair or anything. You see more of the curls, natural hair, or the braids. But when you just go out in the public and you go into government offices and things like that, I would say 80% of them are that kind of look.
Thank you again. I
Tua.
really much appreciated for your experience and your perspective.
So much appreciated.
Yes, very much so. I would like to ask Yaa some questions, if that's all right,
Sure.
Chief, about her autochthon standing process experience.
Yes, Tua.
Okay. So you began your journey with the autochthon standing process in what year, and how did you find out about us?
So I began I have to get back in the
Yeah.
camera. So I began that journey in 2017.
Mhm.
And how I found out about this is funny, because I was just up one evening, maybe around 6 or so, and I saw an email that came to me, and it's like a group email. And the email, up as far as I kept checking back, I couldn't figure who sent the email. But the email came and it had attachments to it. So after receiving some of the prior information on it, I began watching the links. And the links had a lot of videos, and it was Chief and Sa, and they were talking, and I remember on the first video, Sa's voice was very deep. And so at first I was wondering if it was like an audio. And you were talking about things that I had questions about because I was a part of the Nuwabians at that time. And I had issues. I just had gotten to a point where I had trust issues with them. And pretty much nothing they were saying was resonating with me anymore because I found that they seemed to be lying.
Yes.
And I didn't have anywhere else to turn on my spiritual journey. That was the highest I've gotten since then. And I loved the books by Tumre. I loved all his writings. So now I was at a stage of confusion because I'm saying, this is so good. Well, how could this here that I'm living with these people be so ugly, so not making any kind of sense? So when I heard Sa speaking, and I was like, yes. What? So I stayed up till 5 a.m. the next rising watching, and I had to go to work. I had to be at work for like 7:30. I was at that time, I was still doing other jobs. I wasn't full-time teaching yet. However, I binge watched all of those and listened. There were some long audios too, and listened to all of that. And that's the first time I saw the video with the brother that was talking about, his name starts with the letter N, and he was telling Chief, yes, I know, I heard that Atumre said that we should come to see you. And I was like, what? But because nobody knew any of that in the associations that we were in. And so that very next day after work, I reached out to Chief and I left a message. And I was actually in Brooklyn at the Farrar in Bushwick when the phone rang. And I came out and I went and sat in my car and spoke with Chief for the first time.
That's where you can get direct contact with someone that you see in a video.
And that was the beginning of our journey, because after that, I said, Mazum, you have to hear this. And I started just.
So you shared this with Mazum.
Sure, I shared it with Mazum. And right away she came on and I shared it with some other people who they were, you know how they go, they're excited at first, then they kind of back off and nobody wants to be on the spotlight. And maybe they would have stayed with Chief if they could have done it secretly. But that doesn't work here.
So tell me, since you've made it through all 6 steps, you did SF-181, statutory declaration, statutory claim, UCC training, joined At-sik-hata. Is there a particular step that you see as most difficult or more difficult than another?
I will tell you, the steps of doing in the beginning, doing the affidavits was most challenging for us. For myself, I know I am so happy that Chief was there to really help us through to begin, and then to say, all right, you and Mazum, you have each other, you can continue, because the teamwork made it easier and helped the brain to overcome, because it's still, when it's new to us, there are a lot of even your own mental blocks, like, why do I have to do this? I don't have time, all these things.
Yes, there's quite a few people struggling with doing that. Now we call it the statutory declaration for fraud process. It used to be much longer process with the affidavit. You do that and wait 30 days, another document, wait 10 days and another document. Now it's just one document where you state confirmed facts about one's experience. But I think it is that purging, like you were saying, that makes that step difficult for some. So I'm glad you are sharing with those who will see, who are still not finished yet with that step of the process. It's like the most, you have to clean, as Chief said, you have to clean yourself up before you can even begin this process. So mentally understanding and comprehending what you have done that was wrong, and being able to see it and speak it clearly on the record, for the record, and let the record show that. That's critical. It's definitely required. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm gonna get white with all this filth on you."
Nope.
So, thank you for sharing. That was actually the roughest part, for getting started.
Sure.
Does anyone else have any other questions for Yaa? All right. So now, Chief, you have questions for Chief.
I have a question for
You have a
Chief.
question for Chief.
Sure. Are you there, Chief? Can you hear us? I think he's.
Tua, I can hear you.
Sure.
Shaayuaat.
Much appreciated, Chief. I will tell you that this has been the most exciting, I want to say week, but yeah, week of my life for many, many, many years, many, many years. And every day has felt like another fairy tale day, but I'm not in the screen. I'm not in a movie. This is actual. So my question to you is, how do you do it all? How do you still do all that you do and still have time for each and every one of us? You know, how do you make the time? How do you prioritize? It's like a master planning. I see you in action, and before coming here, I could just envision what your day is like. But I always thought I've gotten spoiled because I know if I call, most of us have this access to you, and it is priceless, really. But how do you manage to do it all the way you do?
Time management, always having a sense of urgency and keeping that as a priority. Like you have to live it, breathe, eat, sleep. And that's what I do. So when people call, I'll get off one call, somebody else calls. It's the time management and what I've agreed to do and what is not difficult for me. Like I do it and that's what I do. So therefore, it's not like it's a burden, it's a responsibility. And this is what I do to get to, excuse me, that level. Everybody has asked for this. Everybody, I wish somebody knew. I wish somebody could tell us. Wish somebody could help us. Wish somebody could tell us what, get on the inside and bring the info back to us and let us know. Now here it is. And it's not hidden. It's broad daylight. It's in front. And so the time management is the biggest thing. And I'm always cognizant of the time. I'm always watching, okay, it's 30 minutes here, 45 minutes here, an hour. Oh, half a day is gone. Oh, okay. If I do this, if I'm behind, I say, okay, I could do this, and then I can catch up in what I want to do. But the planning of what you want to do during the course of a day, that's what it is. And it doesn't have to be a long, drawn out ritual or, invocation. It could be 5 minutes. The point is that you do it, and the point is that if you do a little and stay consistent, you get a lot done versus trying to do a lot in multiple directions and then you don't go anyplace, or you've moved very little because you're trying to do so many different things.
Wow, amazing. I've watched you manage the family, manage your time with your office, manage your time with the spiritual realm, manage your time with us. And wow, I think I just I'm going back to Ghana now to just reorganize my life and to make it more proficient when it comes to managing that time, because
Simple too.
yeah, no excuses for me anymore. It's not about the age, it's not about how you feel each day, but to plan it so that you can even take time for how you're feeling, or give yourself that time so that your rest is included. And Chief, you've made such a good example and set such a week of, for me, for such an example during this week, and still had time to help me to have a fabulous time and sightseeing and everything.
Oh, yes.
Appreciate it for you. Much
Oh,
appreciated.
you're quite welcome. Like I said, the most important thing is when I say put the spiritual realm first, upon getting up, one of the things you should be doing is an invocation. It's for each autochthon's own soul. It's for your own body area network. It's for your own auric field. So that's something that someone can tell you, but you have to want to do that. And because of the advent of technology, and now we know that they're siphoning energy off your aura through the towers, the invocations or doing an AM ritual or meditation, that is like exercise. You got to do that. Even if you can't do the physical exercise, do the spiritual exercise. Then you say, okay, once I have this done, now whatever I got to do, whatever I have planned during the course of the day, that's it. And during the course of the day, we can also implement chanting. And that's something that's overlooked, that, during the course of a day in the afternoon, things are a little slow. You can still chant, and the chanting can be orally or it could be mentally. And so once you do that, you're always thinking. It's like when people go to a job, what's their first thing? They're always thinking about the tasks that they have to do, what they have to do, etc. What I do is a job in the sense of it's a task, it's a responsibility. So I'm constantly thinking about, okay, should I do this UPR report? Should I do this input? Should I start on it now? And then in between that, the other things that we're doing. And so that's why for people, it's again, it's a mindset. For people who don't have or that experience or that mindset, it looks like it's a lot. It looks like, how do you do it? Where do you get the time? Because they're tied into that time reference of the Gregorian clock, calendar, etc. When I start telling people, we start tying into our Tagwum, Sa'atna, our clock, then we start understanding, okay, 19, what they call seconds is a minute, 19 minutes is an hour, 57 minutes is 3 hours. When you start understanding that, that's going to motivate you to move a little faster, number one. Number two, you'll be able to do what you call a conversion from the Gregorian to our time. The next thing is that when we start doing that, we have to be just as receptive to our time system, our clock. For example, we were talking earlier today about the Ethiopian and the Egyptian calendar. There's 13 months in there, and their New Year is on 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
So you say 9/11 in the West, that's considered a bad day. 9/11 is a positive day in the East, in Africa, in Ethiopia.
Mhm.
And the calendar is, we're saying 2024 on the Gregorian, it's really only 2016 on the Ethiopian calendar. And they have all their Bibles and everything to confirm it. So what does it mean? It means that the time is off. So if you're following someone else's time system and you see someone doing something for freedom, it seems like, how are they getting all this done in a short period of time? Because that person's mind and zero time reference is connected to their oppressors.
Mhm. Well, I just want to note that I was a witness to, as Yaa was saying, Chief's
Sure.
mentorship and guidance while she was here, and it is available to all the autochthons. I mentioned to Yaa that quite often people say, well, I don't want to call Chief. I know he's busy. I know he's busy. I know he's busy. And I said, if 100 people thought that, guess what? His phone would never ring. So everyone's thinking he's too busy to take a call, so they don't call. And so then people are not calling. So it's better to take a chance and not even a chance, but it's better to call. And if Chief doesn't pick up, as I explained to an autochthon today, you have to leave a voicemail. Voicemail is there for a reason. Is to give the receiver some kind of notice or heads up as to the purpose of your call, so Chief can then prioritize and get back with you and be prepared. when speaking with you. So everyone needs to stay close to Chief and, appreciate and accept the guidance that he has. You can always come up to visit us like Yaa's done, like Watakuya and Aguabana have done. We've had Anu come up for our wedding. So we're not at the ends of the earth. And certainly Ghana to Treaty 6, corporately Edmonton, Alberta is a far journey, much further than others would have to travel. So it's always best to see Chief in the flesh. I certainly, when I met him, wanted to see him in person after first speaking with him, and I arranged to come up the next month to see him in person because I just wanted to. I wanted to actually see him and knowing that he was going to be doing my UCC and what he was about, and it's just a different experience when you get to see someone firsthand for yourself with your own eyes. And Yaa's been here several days with us, so it's been quite an amazing experience, very supportive, and we'd love to have you back anytime. Much appreciated. I will be back. Good.
Yes, she knows she's welcome anytime. All she has to do is let us know when she's coming up.
Mm-hmm. So I did have one more question for Yaa, and
Go
it was
ahead.
related to the intro. Thank you, Chief. It's related to the intro. You may not have heard that before, but White Work Series intro. What did you think about all of those so-called scholars that
The so-called scholars that have been introduced to Chief's body of work or to the race thing and have turned it back? They'll have to answer. Their judgment is up on them. That is how I see it. And as Chief says, our duty, responsibility is to present the facts, the truth to them. And those who don't see it, it's not our burden. Those who do not want to use it and help to wake up the other people around them or share it. It's a big offense for them not to even share this. It's a big offense for them not to even share it when they know that this will affect others. Many of them know. I'm not going to say any of the. I can't even see why, as Adapa said, these well-educated, as you say, or highly educated people will not be aware of these things. And why wouldn't they want to know?
No, they are aware. They're aware.
Sure.
They're under a spiritual contract.
Contract.
And Dr. Cresswell-Singh proved that. They're under a spiritual contract. They can't say in 2024 of the Gregorian calendar, they want to call themselves Black, Nikki Giovanni, Cornell West, all the historical Black colleges and universities, Rutgers University, the Congressional Black Caucus. Sure. They know you have to know the truth in order to conceal it. Sure. And then, like the mayor in Savannah was asked, does Black have standing at law? That's a very interesting question. Don't play them games with me, fool, Negro. It's a yes or no. Does Black have standing at law? Sure. But instead, he can't reveal it. So that's the threat of death that them and Black attorneys are under, because they're being told to do that. And in exchange for that he can live in the suburbs, he can live in one of the richer areas in the city or state and live the good life. And that's his reward for keeping the secret.
Yeah. I always find it impressive and striking, the list there, and it will continue as we get into
that is a list that has been very well put together, and then all we have to do is keep adding to it because they just keep popping out of the closet.
Did we have Billy Carson?
Yeah, Billy Carson was on it. No extended note about him or what he did, just the name.
Sure.
Yeah, I think there were emails sent out to him from White Work to get in touch with him.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll double check on that.
Yeah, I
But
have to double check that.
I'm almost certain that he was communicated with, and that was it. So again, race is part of every contract on this planet. When people want to get a job, the employer asks, "What is your race? Please check off one of these." So how is that not relevant now? And then spiritually speaking, for people who are into magic, Heka, Satanism, etc., how is race all of a sudden not relevant? It's not. That's not the case.
All right.
All right.
So yes, much appreciated again, Yaa. We're gonna wrap up our time with you right now. Thank you for coming and for answering everyone's questions and asking Tifa's questions. So
Oh, this is historical.
yeah,
This is a historical event, and that's why we're going to keep this interview separate. So when people say you came all the way from Ghana, that's it. That's going to start waking some people from Ghana, Tanzania, Togo, and the rest of them up. So much appreciated for coming.
Much appreciated for having me.
All right. Kashuk Gador.
Kashuk.
Kashikadur.